Hey everybody, this is Darren Butt, Pro Audio Product Specialist at Yorkville Sound, here at Synergy Studios in Pickering, Ontario, Canada, talking to the good folks of Double the Pleasure, here at the Yorkville Sound Podcast. How you guys doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Doing very good.
Cool, awesome. You guys mind introducing yourselves and what you do for Yorkville Sound and Double the Pleasure?
All right, my name's Cam Watters. I'm a guitar repair tech at Yorkville Sound, and I'm also one part of the acoustic duo Double the Pleasure.
All right. And I'm Kenny LaJoie, and I also work at Yorkville Sound. I'm the guitar department supervisor, so I supervise this guy. Plus, on top of that, I do my own thing. Generally work in quality control, but I also oversee what they do in repairs as well. And I'm the other half of the Double the Pleasure, the aforementioned Double the Pleasure.
Beautiful, cool. So just going to get right into it. Just in terms of your roles at Yorkville Sound, what does a typical day look like for you two?
Well, I head into work, take my half-hour drive from the country, and show up and get into repairing guitars, depending what I've got on my plate. It could be any different job from refretting, a plec job, anything that might ever need to be done to a guitar. Finish jobs, paint jobs,
Structural repairs.
electronics work. And Ken's the senior guy on electronics, so he's been helping me quite a bit with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a busybody myself, so as the supervisor, I try to take on more of a working supervisor role as opposed to just the sit back and tell everybody what to do role. I help these guys out with repairs. Generally, I focus on QC, and that's kind of the majority of my day. The QC process, we try to get out a lot of pieces in a day. So there's obviously an emphasis on quality, but there's an emphasis on efficiency as well. So we aim for a minimum of 40 pieces out a day per person, which is, pretty significant because, we got a total of 9 guys there now within the department. Some are just material handlers, others repair guys, but we're all able to kind of take on anything. So sometimes I get these guys doing QC just as much as they're doing repairs. They're kind of going back and forth. So everybody's multifaceted, can kind of handle things, and I just got to keep an eye on all that stuff.
Great, awesome. Well, obviously sounds like you both are very busy in the day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 kind of thing. So, very happy to have you. And obviously all the things that you do to quality control all the guitars and make sure that they arrive in the person's hands 100%.
Yeah. We want to make sure that that every single unit that gets to the customer is as good as it can possibly be.
Good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, as soon as they pick it up off the shelf, we want them to be able to be imagining themselves buying it.
Yeah.
And strum a chord, it's in tune.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and not a lot of other manufacturers or suppliers can actually say that. So
absolutely,
that's definitely a testament to what you guys do and Yorkville Sound and the policy. So absolutely. Yeah, speaking of Yorkville Sound, how long have both of you been working for the company?
I've been there 10 years. This is my 10th year right now.
Wow, so. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. He's on to 10.
Yeah, I started in the warehouse, and after a couple of years and meeting Kenny and the guys in repair, a spot opened up, and I was like, put me in, coach.
I'm ready to play.
Yeah. He came to me and said, put me in, coach. And I was like, you got it. It's all good, man. I've been there for 18 years. I was a child. Now, I was 16 when I started. I actually started through a co-op in high school. And, my co-op teacher at the time was kind of giving me the option, well, do you want to do band repair at Long and McQuaid, or do you want to do, electronic repair at Yorkville? So I actually started doing electronic repairs in the service department under Guy and whatever at the time. And, so then, same as Cam, my interest grew to the guitar department and spent some time there and just learned and absorbed and eventually got the job there and then just took control.
Nice.
And became the supervisor, and yeah, it's a lot of dedication, a lot of work that goes into that, but I like what I do. So
Awesome. And you still do, which is great too, after a combined almost 30 years between the two of you at the company, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know.
When you put it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the band thing, we're doing Double the Pleasure now, and that's since 2011 as well. So outside of Yorkville work, we're also doing that, and we've been doing that for quite a while. So.
Awesome.
I can't get rid of this guy.
No,
Vice versa, I imagine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're together 8 hours a day, then you're gigging and practicing. I'm sure you spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
We're doing a gig tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Want to plug it? We're at...
Well, it's a backyard party.
Oh, it's
private.
Private party. Awesome.
Private party.
Yeah. It's good
It's
to know.
around here. It's
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah. It's good to know that these events are still happening. We'll get into questions later about current status of gigs and even gigs up to COVID. But speaking about Yorkville still, what are the ways that Yorkville supported your music career?
Well, one of the ways is, we use all Yorkville gear at our shows. So since we're employees, we get a nice discount. So that's been a big help.
It does help. It does help because we can actually afford to buy some top end gear
Premium
that
stuff.
some of the other acts out there may not be able to afford at
Well, aren't
quite
we
that
lucky?
level. Aren't we lucky?
I mean, the work you put in to be able to deserve that, though, it's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. It's been a long run, but it's been really helpful to be there. And we were talking earlier before we started going here that prototype units have been a big help for us as well along the way, because as Yorkville works on new tech, whether it's the EXM Mobile Series, Mobile 12, or the littler ones, the
They've been
XM4.
great. I'm surprised in those. They'll actually last, it seems like, 12 hours on a charge or even more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The EXM Mobile 12?
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Excellent.
have a mobile, a single one, but Cam also rented an extra for a little bit of support there the other day, and it worked for the whole day on the battery power, and
even I used an X5 to connect the two, which was great.
Yeah.
And the X5 lasted the entire time as well.
Awesome. So the full battery powered wireless solution.
Yeah.
Great for you guys who might be plugging in somewhere where you don't know where the electrical outlet is, right? Or
Absolutely.
it might be 100 feet away, inside or outside kind of thing, right?
It's
So
perfect.
Well, when we first started gigging, that was one of the biggest challenges. You have a wedding or whatever, and people want to do a ceremony outside. They want to do it in the woods or on the beach or whatever it is, and we had to come up with solutions. Back in the day, we had the TVM 50s or whatever,
Right, small
little battery powered amps, but they were a little bit smaller and not as much reinforcement as you may want audio wise. So with the EXM series coming out just a few years back, when they were working on the prototypes, we were very excited to jump in and help along with developing that series of products. So working in the sound lab, and you were there for a few of them, doing sound checks and making sure that for live music it was good, and for playback it was good. Larger venues, outdoor venues, smaller venues, just having that opportunity to kind of have some say in the prototypes and how they work. That's been really great for us. The PGM8 as well, that mixer before it went to market as well. We used that prototype. We actually still use that prototype.
Wow.
And have never had a problem with it once while being out there. So that's great.
We make solid stuff.
Yeah.
Yorkville makes great products.
clearly we're still using it, operating it, right? Even a
Absolutely.
prototype as an example, right? So obviously
absolutely.
the golden sample and what was to be now hundreds and thousands of mixes that we've sold. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. That's great, guys.
Yeah, and we've started from our YX series cabinets in the beginning. We used YX 15Ps, and they were solid, and they lasted forever. They're still functional, but they've taken a back seat to the Parasource 12s now. So
We're in a
we've
little higher fidelity.
we're running a little higher fidelity.
Right, yeah,
Exactly.
and battery power too to make the setup quite a bit easier, obviously,
With
right?
the
So
EXMs, the battery powered, So we've got kind of every option now that's available, and even with lighting, we're using the LP LED systems,
Cool.
LED 2X and 4X,
And we had the PAR 64 cans.
Orion,
before.
yeah. So you guys are like nothing but Yorkville,
Yeah.
manufactured distributed products. That's excellent, right?
Yeah.
We've been repping the brand since day one.
The Blue Firefly.
Yeah, the Blue Firefly. Going back in the
years ago,
Orion
yeah,
lights,
right.
And then even with guitars, since we started together, Cam's been using a Gibson J45 Natural, and I've been using a Epiphone DR500
Very cool.
and Vintage Sunburst, and those things have lasted the test of time as well so far. Almost a decade.
See and hear those a bit later.
Very cool. Yeah. So we have a little surprise coming later on, but for sure,
Another way Yorkville supported us is they're so flexible with like we get gigs here and there during the middle of the day playing a golf tournament or something like that, and they're very accommodating to us leaving early, as long as we make up the time.
Yes.
We're all good.
There's definitely an understanding of live music there. So, for anybody who's interested in working a job that is in the industry and understands what it's like to be in the industry and sometimes requiring some time to get out, that's true. They're very good for that.
that flexibility is key, obviously, because events don't just happen at 9 o'clock at night on Friday nights. They happen all the time, right?
That's right.
So, yeah. Cool, absolutely. We're going to get now into Double the Pleasure leading up to the pandemic. When the pandemic started to ramp up, obviously there's some gigs that are still going on and planned in early March. When did you decide to cancel, and when did things get pretty serious for Double the Pleasure?
I mean, the reality of it is, we kind of let it go until, the government said otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So we went up right into the day, pretty much. I think it was St. Patrick's Day was that we were booked for.
Right, and they canceled
Right.
it. Yeah.
And the venue canceled.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was the time, right? So the pandemic hit here to that level at that point, and so we were ready, to play that gig that day if necessary. But we got the call to say that's it. We got to shut down. So it was a little tough, and then we didn't play anything from that point. We were getting calls from every client we had, just letting us know, we're closed down, whether it was the bars or something like that. They would be calling us. Weddings, we had, people canceling weddings or delaying weddings. It was a difficult time to get all that news essentially all at once.
Right.
We'd worked pretty hard on booking the whole summer, and I think it was going to be our busiest summer we've ever had. So it's kind of disappointing to not be able to do all those gigs, but life goes on.
We've been on a roll, right? So that's the thing is when you play and you organically grow your audience. Once you get into that kind of, we're almost at a decade mark, right? That's when you're really starting to feel like you're on a good roll. And, every single year we've been building up the amount of gigs, the quality of the gigs that we play. It was
song list.
Yeah, the song list has been growing. Right. Actually, though, doing the live broadcasts on Facebook kind of upped our song list as well. We're
Awesome.
getting a lot of requests.
It's really good.
I've got some questions about live streaming too, which is great. But keep going for sure.
So essentially, when that all got shut down and it all kind of hit all at once, and people were calling us and letting us know, obviously we're gonna have to delay or cancel. It was a bummer, but essentially we understood. There's not much we can do about it. So
So we just took a couple weeks and then decided we'd start up the live stream.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. So before that, I was going to ask, roughly how many gigs a year did Double the Pleasure do pre-COVID?
We were like 70 to
90.
Yeah.
Yeah. On average, it was 70 to 90. I think for the past 6 years, we've cleared 90 each year. In the beginning, it was 50 to 70 sort of thing.
So like once a week kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
One or two
And
times
then
a
we
week.
started to build it up where we were sometimes we were doing 2 a day. Sometimes we'd have like a whole weekend, and that would be starting Thursday. So we'd have a Thursday night, a Friday night, a Saturday night, and a Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
So it definitely was crazy. And you certainly understand on the Sunday afternoon why some people do pre-recorded tracks and
Right.
pretty much just do glorified karaoke, because it can be exhausting. You're doing three sets every time, every event. I mean, most live bands or original bands are doing that sort of half an hour
45
set,
minutes tops, right?
45
Yeah, whatever they're
minutes
allowed.
tops.
Well, even
Yeah.
a headlining act's an hour and a half to 2 hours, and
Yeah.
we were clearing 3.5 hours of play sometimes. So.
Yeah.
A day. And sometimes 4
Absolutely.
gigs. Right?
Yeah.
That's like
Sometimes twice, like
700 songs, right?
Yeah.
All for the weekend, right?
Yeah, and a lot of cover bands or cover acts out there understand that. Like we're sitting here saying this, and they're going, "No, that's me."
Right.
Yeah.
I do that too. So, no sympathy. But it can be pretty crazy though when you really get that ball rolling and you're able to do 4 days straight or whatever.
Well, the gigs are flying at you, and you just don't want to say no.
Why would you, right?
Why
Yeah,
would you
keep
say
the
no?
momentum up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that momentum was obviously lost because of COVID. Can't go out and do events. So let's talk about how live streaming came to be. When did you guys first do your first live stream, and how'd you make it work?
I guess it was like 3 weeks into COVID.
Yeah.
And we tried it. The first attempt was at my house, but I live in the country, so the internet connection was pretty bad.
And I'm sure you weren't the only one at that time to have problems with internet connection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We all learned a
Sure.
lot from those days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So it was a choppy stream, and then we decided we'd go a little more professional and move it into Kenny's basement.
Yeah, and then we slowly built it up from there. So essentially, first it was just hanging some bed sheets from the ceiling, and just kind of putting some light on it to make it look okay, and but then slowly built it up. Got some curtains and some real stuff, and just started to put together a real backdrop and essentially build a studio in my basement. So I went from nothing, just a shell of a basement to making like a studio, and having a couple different camera angles and a full audio rig and everything to
We also had help from Kenny's wife and his son. He was our regional manager.
Gotcha. Right? Because obviously it's needed, right?
yeah.
We were the assistants to the regional manager.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly
Supervisors.
Yeah.
Supervising you.
Yeah, we had some fun with that. So yeah, Lincoln kind of helped out. That's my son. He helped out with making sure that the camera angles and stuff were good. So yeah, he actually got a good learning experience out of that too, because now he understands how to operate this software for switching cameras and
Right. Oh, yeah. Give me a pro in a few years.
muting audio and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
We were throwing in trivia questions too, and he had cards that come up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, just for a little extra interaction.
That's really cool, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're like, that almost puts you right in the moment that you're in a bar, right? It's
Yeah.
kinda, you got karaoke on,
Yeah.
the band's on, kind of thing, or there's trivia, right, kind of thing. So yeah, it's very interesting. Very
yeah,
interesting.
It was
Yeah.
great for interactions. The quiz stuff, and we also did some little dance-off things. I had Pete, who you're gonna see later with us on drums. Also, he did a podcast episode a week ago or
did.
so.
Yep.
So we had a lot of fun in that way. We were just trying to be as interactive as possible because, unfortunately, you really lose that experience of the energy of a crowd when you're doing the live stream stuff. Even though we had Lincoln and Sandra there, 2 people going is not quite the same energy or the same feeling. The majority of us as entertainers, when we get up on a stage, we feed off of that sound, that energy, that buzz, right? So when you don't have it, it can be really, really difficult to get in. But we did our best to just try to make it fun and loose. And I think in many ways it probably evolved our live show, or what our live show will become coming back now.
Right.
In that we did get a lot more loose. we were talking a bit more. Usually we're just kind of like, let's talk more rock. So
Yeah, I think the people on the other end were like, just play a song.
yeah. There's
Keep
definitely
wanting more, right?
there's definitely people like that. But I think you also have some people who are the opposite, who just they like that banter and they like that fun, right?
And maybe we'll even throw in some trivia questions when we go out and play live again.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know?
And things you learn because of the live streaming.
Yes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because we realized people actually really loved that. So,
Yeah.
Oh, and we actually had a tally of who was the winners of the trivias each night. So we're gonna be sending out some merch from our website
Yeah.
to all
Nice.
those winners. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interactive. I mean, like tying all that in and almost, since we can't physically be together,
Yeah.
trying to connect as much as possible, but safely online, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We
so,
had some great.
so keep go. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say we definitely felt the crowd interaction was growing, and then at some point, during the pandemic, once some bars and things were opening up, then we were starting to see it dwindle down a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, as people kind of started to get their freedoms back and, were able to, whether it was visiting, family and stuff like that, just as things started to open back up, it started to dwindle off a bit.
Right.
But
So,
in the heavy part of the pandemic, we were surprised that we were getting like 1,400 hits on a live stream by the end.
Oh, yeah. Very
We were
impressive.
pretty overwhelmed with how much interaction we were getting.
yeah.
So it was great.
Yeah.
So you say worse. I'm assuming you're not doing as much live streaming now?
No,
we've
pretty much stopped the live
yeah.
stream.
Okay.
Yeah, since we started being able to get back into the live again, we've done, I think we've only done one so
We've
far.
done one, yeah.
We've done one so far. We're doing two this weekend.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're back into, reestablishing that live music circuit. So
So even though you guys aren't doing it, do you think that live streaming is sort of the way of the future, or do you think now that things are sort of opening up a little bit that, like yourselves, live streaming will sort of stop? Will it be incorporated more within live music now?
I think
and maybe
it-
we've learned perhaps that maybe not everybody could physically go to that event, but it might be worth live streaming. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
I believe
I
that
can
it'll
see that.
become a new source for sure. Especially if bands are kind of taking a break, they're not doing live gigs for a period of time.
Right.
So I'm thinking more professional, original bands. They'll be doing more of it. I think we were kind of seeing a bit of it already. When bands were in studio, they would do live streams of working on studio stuff and whatever. But
I
maybe
could see the live stream being incorporated into an actual live show.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, like you're at the bar, but it's being live streamed.
Right.
Yeah.
For people
Yeah.
who are at home, right?
Right. And previously that would have been,
Maybe too much. to
yeah,
deal
too much
with.
to think I've got a gig to play. But when you think about it, just being able to turn your phone on and what I mean, being
Yeah.
able to broadcast, sure, a few people might watch it only, but at least you've got a little bit more interaction, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it might be a cool thing because since we play for 4 hours a night, it's like if we live stream the first set, maybe then people will see it and go, "Oh, let's go for the second set."
Just like spitballing right here. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Right?
there's definitely a way to use it as a promotional tool.
Right.
Essentially the reason why we had agreed to start doing it after a couple of weeks off was one, just to kind of keep the chops up, but two was to build a relevant sort of social media presence. Because the problem is with most bands is that they're very busy when they're playing live performances and stuff on weekends and whatnot. They're very busy doing that and taking care of that and rehearsing for that. So social media, can take a serious backseat to all of that.
Right.
So this time around, with essentially being forced out of live music, it was kind of like, well, let's take some time and do our best to build a proper social media presence for ourselves. And hopefully that actually opens up to a new audience, right? People we've never seen, never met. And we did see that. You see in your comments like, oh, I've never seen that person, or I've never met that person before.
Well, we're
So-
being asked to do a wedding for somebody who saw us on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, in March. So,
Yeah.
we've never met these people. But
And that may
they
not have
saw
ever
our-
happened, right?
That's
Exactly.
right, yeah. They saw our live stream. They liked what they heard and figured we'd be great for their event.
Yeah. Now you have a gig out of it.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
A real gig.
Well, and it actually kind of kick-started the gigs from now moving forward. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of our private events that, like the ones we're playing this weekend and moving forward, they came from people who were regular watchers on those streams, right? So
Where we started putting up a card on our thing, like, hey, we're able to do small events, and then when they saw that, that's when we started getting some emails.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
That's been good.
So now we're out of live streams. Now we're sort of kicking it off, getting back to, I suppose, what is the new norm. So can you tell me about some of the gigs that you have coming up?
Yeah, tonight we're playing a backyard party for some friends who've been interactive on the live stream.
Yep.
Tomorrow night we're doing another one, pretty much just the same. Some really big fans, and yeah, like it seems to be all just private events right now.
yeah.
We're booked to play the Courtyard next weekend, but we're not sure that they're opened up to do it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Some bars are, but I don't think Courtyard is yet.
Yeah, the concern, I guess, with live music right now, with the sort of kickstarting back with this pandemic thing, it seems like the bars, they had a challenge because they were off for 3 months, 4 months, right? So a lot of them financially can't handle, the money that they may have to spend to get a duo or even like a 3-4 piece band in, right? So I've seen a lot of solo acts that are jumping back into playing live. But yeah, it just seems like that's the way it's kind of stuck, is right now it's solos, because they also take up less space, and with reduced seat capacity in many venues, they got to try to maximize their space usage and try to make some money back and recoup and not have to be forced to go out of business, essentially, because they're not making the money they need. So I think it will be a slow process to get back as being a duo in bars or pubs or whatever you want to call them. But for now, a lot of private events, like you said, we're doing a lot of these backyard things. That's also been tricky too, though, because we've had people getting in contact with us saying they want to do something, and then their guests are scared. They don't want to be at an event where social distancing may not actually be possible, and they're worried that masks may not be enough and stuff like that. So it's there's a challenge there, because if you're trying to put together a backyard event, even if you've got a massive backyard, once you get into 30 to 50 people, are people really going to be that good at keeping their distance or whatever? Or are they all just going to want to jam together and converse and dance and sing and
Right.
So I guess there's risks, and they're measurable risks that people aren't necessarily willing to take yet, but some are. And we're lucky in that regard that we are starting to get some of those private events booking. So
Our first gig back was great. It was in Napanee,
Okay.
and we got booked by some people who were watching us on the live stream, and we got up there, and they had like a massive stage and like lights and everything, and like they had a concession stand pretty much. But there was only 10 people there. It was a little
probably the
birthday
best show
party.
of 10 people ever, right?
Yeah, it
right.
was a blast.
Yeah.
And I guess that they have live bands coming up there every weekend right now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
way out in the country.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
but big bonfire, a stage.
Huge bonfire.
Yeah.
It was like 30 feet high.
And you didn't invite me?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was a very intimate crowd,
As it should be, of course, right,
There was it was essentially all family, or
Yeah.
family and very close friends. So
Right.
that's the way most of these, I think, are going to be.
Of course.
Is a very tight knit unit, and I guess the government has encouraged people to kind of keep their groups of people down to smaller amounts.
Stay in the bubble.
Stay in a bubble.
Stay in your bubble, right?
Create a bubble
Yeah.
and stay in that bubble. This is our bubble, right?
Double
This is the
bubbling.
double the bubble. Double bubble.
Exactly.
So as things slowly start to progress, and as we can see it now, there are a little bit less restrictions sort of every day, every week. Do you find that being a duo, you're going to get more gigs than being a full band?
I'm thinking
Probably.
so. Yeah.
I think that was the case anyways.
That
But
was
now
the
more
case.
than ever.
Yeah. That was the case. Essentially, with what we do, two of the most favorable things for us when being booked for venues is the fact that we're low decibel level.
People can talk.
People can
Converse
talk,
around it.
but can still hear the music, right? Because there's no bass
Right.
and there's no drums,
Right.
which are usually the massive decibel
culprits.
level carriers that, they make it a little tough for people. And I think, obviously, one huge concern at a lot of these restaurants is the safety of their employees, especially servers and stuff, right? So if they have to shout to, the people sitting at the table, their patrons are not going to dig that very much.
Right.
If the decibel levels of the band are
Or
so
louder
high,
than the waitress trying to
and it's like your
communicate
waitress
your order,
is
right?
like spitting on you, or your waiter's spitting on you, and you're spitting back at them. It's just it can be a little bit much. So I think there was already that benefit that we had before of being sort of a low volume, acceptable kind of act, and we take up less of a footprint, which
Right.
is also really
Right.
nice.
So like we've played places where they take out one table and we go in there.
Where the
Yeah.
table
So,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're not missing out on too much of a clientele.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, solo artists get it too. They get the same thing. Here's a corner.
DJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solo
So-
performer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but we have
You
no
must
problem with it, right? Like we go and we fit into that small space, and we have no complaints. And especially if you're bringing EXM mobiles along.
Oh, small, compact, battery powered, no need for wires.
Exactly, right? So
What? COVID? We're out.
Yeah.
See you.
Well, and you can link them together easily. They got the built-in channels, so
Right.
3 channels on one side, 3 channels on the other. Link them together.
Don't even need a mixer.
No,
Right.
you don't need a mixer.
For ease of use, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're using X5 stuff too, you can keep it all wireless.
For sure.
So I mean,
Easy setup, easy teardown.
yeah, there's a way to do it. So yeah, I think before we had the advantage of kind of being that subcompact band that played at lower levels, and I think it's the same thing that'll give us the advantage moving forward.
Right. So what are your predictions for the future in terms of gigs? Like right now in Ontario at this current point, we're at about 50 people indoors, 100 people outdoors, and that's changing day to day.
Yes.
Right.
So where do you think the future of live music is going to be?
Well, aren't they doing these drive-in concerts now? People are
Yeah.
driving up. You can hook up to your sound system and it comes out.
FM broadcast, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That seems to be very popular right
Yeah.
now.
Right, yeah.
The tailgate concert.
The tailgate concert.
Yeah, tailgate concerts. That's smart. I also heard about the thing there in England or in the UK that's happening where they're building little stages for groups of 5.
Oh, yeah, I
Right,
saw that.
right.
I think that's a smart move. Probably a little bit extra overhead costs that
And ticket sales would go up on
Yes,
Yeah.
promoters are not going to necessarily want to continue to do that. I think it's a bit of a challenge. They may just do, circles drawn on the ground like they did at Trinity Bellwoods
Right.
at some point, where it's, stay in your circle 6 to 10 feet from, any other circle, and try to keep, in your circle.
But I'm pretty hopeful that it's just going to go back to how it was. Please.
Right?
Yeah, it may take some time, but I think the great thing is that with how long people will be going without the live music experience, I think it's going to give a huge surge
Yeah.
to the industry.
Right.
On top of that, the amount of time that production crews who normally work with live bands have had to sit and think about what we can do moving forward to make our shows bigger and better than they were before.
Right.
I think that will only step it up even more,
Right.
and draw more crowds. So there's a silver lining to it, in a way,
Yeah.
right? Is that, we're sitting here going like, man, I just wish, we could have real live shows and real live music experiences. But, at the same time, the amount of good things that are going to come of this, there's a whole industry of people who are just chomping at the bit to get back into doing this. And, there's a lot of ambitious professional people who are going to want to just make these amazing live performances happen, and just take it to a whole other level. So that's what I'm excited to see personally. So
And I just think people will be very excited to see live music again once it's available.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, at the bars, I think we might get a lot more interaction than we might have, before the pandemic.
Right.
Where people probably were like, well, it's another live act.
Good
well,
call.
We've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
this.
Yeah. Take it for granted, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the great things, feedback-wise, from doing the Facebook Live performances on Fridays or whatever, was we had the audience constantly interacting with us, and just, especially in the early part, like when we did our first 2 or 3, people were very thankful. Thank you so much for doing this. This is what we need.
It's their
We need
Friday
something.
routine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, and that carried for a while. And then once people, like we said before, once they started getting back to a bit more normalcy, they were dropping off a bit. But, we're still seeing hits on those videos. We archived it all on Facebook and YouTube. So we're still seeing hits on those videos every week. And I'm sure, anybody who did that type of thing,
Which is everybody
seeing
kind
the
of,
same
right?
thing.
Yeah.
They're probably seeing the same thing. So people are still excited.
Plug the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was going to do a plug.
All right.
Yeah, do the plug now. All your
Well,
plugs.
first off, you can check out our website, doublethepleasure.net, not .com. Don't go to .com.
.net.
.net. So doublethepleasure.net, and that'll take you to our band's website. We got a merch shop there, and all of our links to all of our social medias there. But yeah, you can check us on youtube.com/the-double-the-pleasure, because we're the one and only.
I think
The one and only.
Yeah.
Right?
Double the Pleasure was taken, so we just said, we're the Double the
The
Pleasure.
double pleasure.
We're the double
When you're
the pleasure.
the double the pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should have went with 2 E's. Anyways, but yeah, you can check out that facebook.com/double the pleasure without an E at the end, because apparently pleasure's a word that's banned on
naughty
Facebook.
word.
But not Instagram. So we're Double the Pleasure on Instagram.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You can check out all of those social media sites.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important question, how excited are you now that you've got gigs coming up?
Oh, super excited.
You don't even
Real
know,
gigs,
man.
as Cam said.
Yeah,
Yes.
you don't even know. It's actually really, really good. We were really craving it. Like as I was saying earlier,
we were
experience-
addicted, 90
Right.
gigs a year.
Yeah,
And then
Nothing.
to 0. So
and
we
that
were in
feeling.
withdrawal.
It's
Playing
that
in Kenny's basement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and then that's the thing too. Is it's the same venue every
Right,
Friday night
right.
with nobody in it.
Right.
Like I don't know. I always see these memes of these bands, these local bands. They're gonna get back and there's only gonna be 5 people in the venue. That's what it was already like.
Nothing's changed, yeah.
That's not what it was like for us. We had full venues. There was lots of people. There was great reactions. So. To lose that, it is something that you have a dependency on almost. Like you said, it's like you're addicted or whatever. It's your vice. You love it. It's a passion in your life, and to lose it like that is like, oh man. And I'm sure a lot of guys, a lot of girls out there who are doing the live thing are just going, man, this really sucks. I love that live music experience, and it really does a lot for me. Emotionally too. Some people it's their escape. They can be very sad or very melancholy people, but when they step on a stage, they're a completely different person, a new character.
Right.
And for those types of people to lose those types of live music experiences, I feel for them. I'm not one of those people, but I really felt like I could be being stuck at home all the time. It is really a great experience to know that we can get back and start building that audience back up again. And
at the same time, it was kind of nice to get a little break.
a break.
Right.
Yeah. I've said it before that I value my time just as much as I value the work. Right. So sometimes, having a little bit of time off, because whenever we did have a weekend off before, we were like,
Right.
What are we going to do?
But it was like,
but yet you're there, and I'm sure you're like twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do this
Yeah.
I'm
weekend,
at
right?
home, yeah.
yeah.
I want to play.
But that's the
friends
thing.
anymore.
So you could have like 6 or 8 weeks straight that you're playing, and then you have that one weekend off, and it's like, oh man, I can do something with this.
Right.
And then most of the time you just twiddle your thumbs. But, you know, it's one of those things that I think it's important, though, that, you know, we get back into this and we get rolling and, you know, we don't, you know, seize that momentum, keep it going. And hopefully, you know, lots of other people start doing the same. Maybe new people, you know, people who didn't feel that they had the opportunity before, and maybe they tried with social media first during the pandemic.
Right.
Or maybe it's somebody who always wanted to do it, but now they had extra time on their hands to, you know, improve and learn more songs. Like our friend Luke there, he's going to go out and be a solo guy. After this, he had so much time to develop himself. So
Yeah.
And previously wasn't?
yeah, he wasn't before, and
Yeah.
then like he's been picking my brain on how it goes when you play a live show
Very
at a
cool.
bar. So
Yeah.
he's excited to do that.
So do you think this is going to be an inspirational time for people, or has been since March? Do you think there's going to be a lot of artists coming to the table? A lot of new
Honestly,
artists?
yes.
Yeah.
And as employees of Yorkville, we've seen an insurgence in entry-level sales.
Okay.
So for entry-level six-string acoustics, entry-level mandolins, entry-level banjos, ukuleles, these types of things are just selling, you know, and just flying off the shelves, essentially.
I think the other thing that's really picking up is the home recording studio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're seeing that for sure.
You're seeing
Yeah.
a boost
Yep.
in all those. I
Yep.
mean, these Aston mics.
Yep.
These beautiful
ART
Aston
studio
mics.
monitors, rack gear.
Exactly. All of this type of stuff is just selling like crazy because people have the time.
Right.
You know, they're sitting at home, especially, you know, people who maybe had higher paying jobs, executives and stuff
Right.
like that,
Right.
who always had a passion for music or a love for music, but thought, you know, I don't really have the time
always
for
time,
it.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now it's that opportunity for them. They just have the opportunity to go and purchase this stuff and start to build a studio. And I mean, Yorkville makes it very easy with, you know, everything from the desk to the speakers to whatever, right? We keep it good.
For sure.
I think that's a great thing. But instruments, you know, entry-level instruments, just seeing the sales.
Well, and you know, like a percentage of those people who buy the entry level instrument will buy the intermediate, the professional level instrument, and that's all gravy for Yorkville, I think.
Yeah, especially for the guys who are going to quality control the instruments too, most likely.
yeah.
Keep us busy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll stay busy. But that's the thing, right? Is you know that once people get going and get started into it, a lot of people are just going to get hooked.
Yeah.
Right? I've been there, you've been there. James over here is been
James
And
is
right.
definitely
like everybody has been there as a musician. We started with something very, very small. We could have had a cheap, you know, acoustic with 2 strings on it, like I did, and that was the very first instrument that just made you go, I have to play for life, you know. And Cam, you know, he's got his stories, I'm sure.
Well, I wanted to play bass, and my dad was like, I don't want you to be a bass player. Come on. And,
No offense to bass players.
yeah, sorry.
No offense to bass players, yeah.
But he told me he'd buy me a guitar if I wanted that, but he wouldn't buy me a bass.
So you had no choice
I
but
was
to...
like, sure, okay, I'll take the guitar.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with that decision.
Very cool.
Exactly. And then once you're hooked, right? And then it's, you know, more gear and all that stuff. And these days, the amount of stuff that you can get for home at a very reasonable price to be able to evolve as both a recording musician and a live musician it's unbelievable how easy it is now.
For sure.
I mean, even these phones, you know, the audio really isn't all that bad.
Right? Yeah.
You
And
know?
keeps getting better.
I
right?
mean, we
Yeah.
used to use tape recorders and, you know, old technology like that to you know, get ourselves recorded and things.
You can
just to be able
multi-track
to-
on your phone, get an iRig and GarageBand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can produce, I think isn't there a Grammy-winning record that was made on an iPad?
Probably.
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably any hip hop song now.
Chance the Rapper.
Or
Chance the
pop or...
Rapper.
Yeah.
Pop,
right,
Pop
yeah,
can do it
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I mean, it's so easy now to put something together that has a professional or professional-esque quality to it. So I think, there's a lot to be said about what will come from all of this and people being motivated and having time to start playing music or to continue playing music and getting better.
Right.
There's a lot to be said there. And I think, yeah, it's going to be an exciting time for music
I
post-pandemic.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting times indeed. Cool. So Kenny, Cam, thanks so much for coming here. Double the pleasure. Happy that you guys are sort of back at it playing gigs, which is great. Again, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day. Normally you'd be QCing guitars, but again, thanks so much for coming here in the Yorkville Sound podcast. My name is Darren Butt, product specialist for Yorkville Sound. If you have any more information that you require, feel free to visit www.yorkville.com. Thanks for listening.